What's going on, guys? I'm Bear Degidio, and we are back with another episode of the Jaxxon podcast. I'm sitting here with one of the greatest co-hosts of all time, a moto freestyle legend, Twitch. Very excited to have you back here at the table, and we have a very special guest today. Twitch, I'm going to let you bring this in.
Well, yeah, we got Mrs. Vicki Golden over here today. Pretty stoked on this one. This is like, I look at her as like one of my kids or like my sister or something, you know what I mean? I'm like big brother over here.
You have like two kids? How many kids do you have?
Three daughters. Well, 4 with this one now.
And what about like the rest of the goons that always mob around behind you? The Tylers and the
Those
Kobe's
are like
and the
stepchildren. Vicky's like family over here. Yeah,
put her above them a little bit.
Yeah, my wife and my girls love her, so she's family.
That's amazing. I will say this. I don't think people understand this about Twitch. Twitch has an amazing like family dynamic. He's always leaving early to pick up his daughter, hanging out with his wife. It's crazy. It's like, I don't see that very often. I got to salute you on that. Good dad.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a big family man. You wouldn't be able to know that he's actually a nice guy, but secretly he is.
Yeah,
on the outside, I'm an asshole to everyone.
Yeah, big asshole.
This morning we were at a coffee shop. They sat him in the way corner. He has like this crazy persona. He's like the last boss, like in a video game, and they just have him like way in the corner. I'm like, Twitch, where are you at? He's like, I'm over here. I'm like, oh, they didn't sit you with all the families?
Very, very back.
Yeah. The double takes and the deer eyes.
You think it's the tattoos?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes you more approachable.
Yeah, but most people are more scared of that.
Oh, that's true.
Once you start talking, and then everyone's like, oh, okay, he's not so scary.
Oh, he has a smile on his face. He's not an asshole.
I like that. You have any tattoos?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got a couple. Not as many as everyone else, but I got a couple. Like started a sleeve, and then basically almost any time I'm injured, I'll try and get some more. I'm already hurt.
How is that a common denominator of people always getting tattoos when they're
Everyone's Sheckler. Every time he hears I just want to get tattooed. Like same thing with me. Like everyone
Lauren,
I know.
Same thing.
Yeah, when you're hurt, you're like, I'll go kill some time and get tattooed.
Yeah, and then when you do get tattooed, you don't want to take the time off of like, oh, I got to take a couple of days of riding off before I can, let it heal. So when you're already hurt, you're like, well, I got nothing to lose. I'm not doing anything.
I feel like as soon as you know you're out for a while, you're like, I'll get tattooed because I hate like putting riding socks on over it, or like when I got my head tattooed, I had to like put saran wrap over my head before I put my helmet on because I didn't want to mess it up. Like as soon as I got it done, I'm like, damn, I didn't think that through. I got to ride a lot this week, so like every day I'm putting saran wrap on my head, throw a helmet on.
So bad.
You get black ink running down the side of your face.
You would ride with the bubble boy, like the plastic over your face?
Yeah. Over the top of my head.
What about the front?
No, I can't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you got to ride for like 10 minutes. You're like, dude, my head's so itchy. I got to go.
So bad, yeah. Yeah, that shit happens for sure.
Well, this is a great podcast. There's a lot to bring on, a lot to talk about. I think one thing I love about this podcast is Twitch gets to continuously bring us some of the greatest guests we've had. We get to learn, we get to listen. But Twitch, there's been a lot of action right now this year.
Yeah, this year's been exciting for freestyle and for racing. I feel like the sports are bigger than ever right now, honestly.
And what would you feel, and especially because I want to hear her take, is right now, what do you think is pushing the industry on the freestyle side, on the Supercross side, the motocross side?
I just think with like how many shows have actually been going on and how many demos we've been doing and all the races, like they've added more races this year. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's just, I don't know. Everything goes in waves. And I feel like moto was kind of not dead, but like it was like kind of low there for a little bit. And now everything I feel like is just blowing back up. There's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's outside of our own industry are the best ones that we do because it's so new. And even like we did F1. And I remember some dude rolled up and he's like, you mean to tell me you're going to jump your dirt bike from there to there? And I was like, yep. He's like, what time? I got to come see this. Didn't even care about the tricks. He just wanted to see just us jumping. So I think when we go outside to like F1, MotoGPs, that's when you see like true fans and like they get to experience it for the first time. And then that's opening even more doors than just inside our own little industry.
Yeah, like Calgary Stampede, like Stampede 2. I want to say they have like over 100,000, 150,000 people a day coming through the park. And like we're like the first thing that happens like for activation with Monster when we ride and stuff. So it's been pretty cool. Like this year's been super fun. We've traveled a lot. Little Vicky's over here hurt now. Yeah. Little Gimpy over here.
What happened?
She got a Polaris deal and just screwed it up.
Well, they asked me not to say that, but I guess that's the way to do it. But yeah, I may have tipped one over, and my dumb ass decided to stick my arm out.
We were having fun. We were all racing. It's like me, her, Diesel Dave from Diesel Brothers, and we were just all having fun. And they told us not to go do certain things, and we went and did certain things, and we're making content and having fun. And Vicki, being the racer she is, she like went to go square someone up and come underneath her, and when she went to go underneath, just barely caught like a little wind drift, and it just like sent her over and just cartwheeled. But it has literally happened to every single person I know. Like after you left, one of the dudes was like, "Oh man, I feel so bad for her." I'm like, "Yeah, me too." And I like started making a joke out of it. He's like, "No," he's like, "Seriously," he's like, "She could have lost her arm." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he sent me, he showed me probably 4 photos of dudes missing their arms from like the elbow or from like the shoulder, where I was like, "Oh my God." Like,
yeah, thankfully, like I've crashed a lot, so I know what's going on. But yeah, literally, like it happened so quick that the minute my arm started to go out, I started pulling it back in. So I think that's what saved it. Because I must have hit like palm first. And like as I was doing it, I pulled it back in. So the damage was somewhat minimal.
And it was funny too, because every single person there, when we were rolling the car over, they're like, "Oh, I've done this. Oh, I did this too. I did this last week." Like every single person that has driven a side-by-side has rolled them, because that's how you figure out the limits of them, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I was expecting not to do that, because I was like, well, I know I'm not going to be that person. And yeah, well, women drivers, what are you going to do?
Wait, where was this?
We were up in Coos Bay, up in
Oregon dunes.
Oregon sand dunes up on the water.
The Polarises that you drive, what was that camouflage one I saw on your Instagram?
That's mine. That's my Expedition. It's their new model that came out. It's like the North Star. It's like full air conditioning, heated seats, like navigation, like everything. But the ones we were driving is the new Pro R. And dude, the car is insane. Like how fun is that car?
They're stupid fast, so fun. They handle insane.
You don't have to
believe it.
It bone stock. You literally don't have to put one part on the car, and it's like a full race car. It's so sick.
Like you don't really want them to go much faster.
No, you don't need it to. You don't need more suspension.
Yeah, you don't really need it.
I'm not the best with anything like with wheels or like a motor or anything
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, so like, unless it's walking or running, I'm kind of a liability. But I will tell you, the funnest time I've ever had, and I felt the safest, was driving a Polaris with one of my little cousins and a bunch of the boys that I was with, a bunch of my family. It was easy. It was like super family friendly. It was really like safe. Like I felt super secure, super safe. It was fast, but I felt like good. I felt like nothing was going to happen. No one got injured. No one got hurt. So I do want to shout out to Polaris for making probably the safest and the coolest family-friendly vehicles I've ever been in.
It's
not everybody is like as extreme as you people. So I think when people hear you guys talk, they think, well, everybody needs to go super fast and jump off 100-foot jumps.
Yeah, but that's what we were talking about too, because we were passing a bunch of people around there that were like going family-friendly speeds. And we're like, how do you do that?
Why are you going so slow?
Why'd you buy that thing?
That's not fun.
So before we just jump into this real quick, I got something for you. I got you the brand new JX1. It's our new watch. And then we also have a bunch of our new jewelry for you. We have our brand new Cuban 5mm, 3mm iced out. We have a brand new women's collection and our new JX1 that just dropped for men. It's got a scratch-proof sapphire crystal.
Ooh.
It's got a new precision band, and it's got Japanese movement. Super crazy, complete luxury watch for men. We've been working on it for a year, so we're super excited to drop these.
This thing fits perfect now, too.
Yeah, it's good. And then we also have it in a silver and black with a two-tone with the illustrious loom dial, so it's got a good vibe. And now I'll let you kind of jump in after we had a word from our sponsor. Shout out to the Jaxxon watches.
Victoria, why'd you choose dirt bikes? There's so much other things you could have done.
Oh, plenty other things, and it would have been a lot smarter and a lot safer. But yeah, I think it was just family. I mean, my dad was super into it. He was like a diehard Honda 2-stroke guy growing up, and that's what he had one in the garage always.
That's awesome.
So it was just like a natural thing that every single time he would go out, I'm like, I want to go. And he's like, all right, well, you got to wait for Christmas or something. And he had to, during that time, he had to talk my mom into it too. So yeah, it was just me just being persistent and bugging him. And yeah, for whatever reason, I was dumb enough to pick 2 wheels.
That is awesome. That's what I love about you, is like, I don't think a lot of people know like your whole upbringing with your dad getting paralyzed and having to do everything yourself, like just how much work you would put in on your own to still go ride a motorcycle, when most people would have like, it probably would have scared them away or quit if someone in their family got hurt that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think if I was older, like maybe 16 or so, where I could really
think about it.
Yeah, think about it and completely understand the extent of the injury, I would probably been like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's pretty trippy to think about. Just a few years later could have changed the world.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was just like, okay, well, we had a good support system to where if I wanted to go ride and race or whatever I want to do, I had people there. But it ended up being kind of just on me. Like my mom was like, all right, well, once I'm finished taking care of your dad in the morning, like we can go, but you got to get the bike ready and load it up and get ready to go.
Yeah.
And
How old were you?
I was 12.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
And at that time, thankfully, we could afford 2 bikes. We just got a second bike. So that's pretty much how I learned to work on them too. It's just like, I remember changing handlebars, no clue where the clutch goes in comparison to where the kill switch. And I was just
Looking
like,
at this bike.
and I just look at the other bike and be like, okay, that's how it goes. And then do it to the other bike.
I'm still the same way. If Rob don't have time and I'm working on my bike, I'm looking at this bike like, okay, where's this go? Okay, we're good now.
Oh, dude, I do it all the time where I'll like have to look at pictures of another one and be like, or I'll take pictures before and be like, okay, now I know what to do because I took a picture of it.
That is so gnarly. So you started racing at a pretty young age, yeah?
Yeah, I started riding when I was 7 and pretty much started racing at 8.
Brona Oaks local.
Yep.
Yep.
My
home track as well.
Yep.
El Cajon was fun. El Cajon was like a dope ass track. It was next to
An airport.
Indoor soccer or outdoor soccer, but it was like an indoor soccer facility.
And there's a little speedway.
And El Cajon Speedway.
Yep.
I remember my dad, like Lust came out of there. I would see Lust there doing tricks back in the day. I remember my dad blowing his kneecap apart there, and his kneecap was on the back of his knee.
Ugh.
It was pretty bad.
Gross. Yeah, that's where my dad crashed at when he got paralyzed.
That's where it was El Cajon. That
Yep.
track was so sick.
Yeah, that's the one track I wish that if I could ride it as an adult now, that I could go to, because I had so much fun on 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my end of the 80 career is like kind of when that track started going away.
Yeah, because I was still on 125.
I could get the jumps at that point, and it was so much fun.
That place was bitching. And what was cool about that place too is like it didn't really open till like 2 or 3 o'clock. So it was like when people got off work, they could go there and go ride during the week and stuff like that. And
Yep, for sure.
I remember I would always make the trek down there from Temecula to go ride every once in a while with my pops.
The Verona track is on the same land as our paintball park in San Diego.
So last time I was down there, I saw the paintball facility and I was like, dude, this is huge. Like that wasn't there when we were growing up.
No, I think it was there towards the tail end, but it was like nobody knew it was there.
No.
Yeah,
Now
we
you
had
pull
taken
it,
it over
huge.
like probably 10 years ago, me and my dad.
wow.
Yeah.
We took it
that's
over
insane.
and rebranded
That's
it. So
cool.
it's SC Village, San Diego. But yeah, that track is crazy for all the locals in San Diego.
Yeah.
Crazy. It used to be like on a Saturday, I'd show up, it was like a party.
Yeah.
It was more of a party than
Seriously.
it was than a track. And I don't know, like people understand the difference, but it was pretty lit in the parking lot.
It was fun.
I feel like it's still like that. Now when I go there, I'm like, how did people like successfully come out of here?
Yeah, a lot of guys came out of there and made good careers riding motorcycles.
A handful. So it's cool to see, because when I go down there, it's just like full memory lane.
How was it being the first girl to like actually qualify for a Supercross?
Man, it was crazy. It's not like, I don't know. I wish that I would have done better than I did, but I was battling so much stuff. I was battling Epstein-Barr and just fighting through all that to where it was like, man, I just wish I had more pieces of the puzzle to where I could do it better. I'm not saying like if you gave me a factory bike, I would have been like winning.
Yeah, but it does help.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, not to knock Suzuki, but I think it's pretty clear that their 250F is the slowest 250F, and still back when I was racing, it was still the slowest. So, just little pieces where like I said, I didn't need like a factory bike when you're already like kind of on the bottom end of that and trying to, have the pieces of the puzzle and get everything that you need to get in. It was really tough.
Yeah.
So if I would have had a bit more knowledge on how to handle my Epstein-Barr like I do now, and or maybe went with a different bike that year. I'm not saying like the bike matters, but at that level, when you're already kind of struggling,
horsepower
it definitely
is horsepower.
does. Yeah,
when you're down on it, you need
it. It definitely does. So yeah, there's little things that I'll probably sit back and regret that I wish I could be like, all right, like let's do it now because I know what to do.
Like if you were in the position now, like your bike could have been so much better in like fitness wise and knowing the knowledge of having Epstein-Barr. Like
if I could have, if I knew what I knew now, it would have been different. But I'm sure everybody says that. But yeah, I think I would have done a little bit better and maybe got into that main event, but we had a stacked field in the 250 class back then. They were all, your 450 champions now. So it was pretty gnarly.
Experience of that and like you being you and just wanting to have that goal and do it, it's pretty bitching.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it wasn't, I don't know. I guess I didn't really think about it as being the first and only or, whatever to go and do that. It was just something that was like on my footpath. Like I wanted to go race arena cross because I rode a Supercross track for the first time and fell in love. I love the creativity of kind of like how we have it in freestyle. It's just, you can go 2-3 or 3-5, like there's just so much,
you can jump whatever you want.
Whatever you want is kind of how it goes. So, that's like what I fell in love with, of just how many options you truly have on one Supercross track. So that's what I fell in love with. So when I went and raced arena cross to get my license, that was just kind of the footpath I set for myself. And Yeah, it didn't really phase me that I was going to be the only female or the first female. It was just something that I truly wanted to do, and there was no category for women, so I was just going to go do it.
I think what's funny with her too, being like, she's like the only chick we really ride with, and like we give her so much shit and she handles it so well. It's like I probably give her more shit than any one of my other buddies just because who she is and like how she holds herself. You know what I mean? Like
tough love.
Yeah, exactly.
So much. We always joke, we're like, my girl card got pulled a long time ago.
Yeah. And it's cool because
probably makes you feel better.
Yeah. Well, and then she'll talk shit right back to us. Like I remember when I switched bikes, I was riding a Kawasaki and I went to Honda, and I was riding the Honda, and I in my head I loved it, but like at the same time I felt like shit on it. And I remember one day I was just like, I wish someone would just tell me like if I look good on this thing or not. I remember we came in from the track and she goes, man, you look like shit on that bike. You should go back to a Kawasaki. And I like looked at her and I'm like, I wanted to be like, fuck you. But I'm like, thank you. I'm like, I've been waiting for someone to tell me that, because in my head mentally, I wanted to love this bike, but I did not like the bike at all. And I remember that day I went and got a Kawasaki and I felt so much better back then on it.
Why is that?
I was just more comfortable on that bike. I just think that was like a year that the bike wasn't that good, and a lot of people were struggling with it. And I just wanted a red bike so bad. I don't know why.
It was because you wanted to match your 110.
That's what it was.
It was that stupid.
You wanted your bikes to match. That's why you did.
And I was like, dude, they make graphics kits and plastics. Just go back to the Cowie. I'm like, why you gotta make this difficult?
When she told me, she's like, you look like shit on that thing. I was like, fuck you, but thank you so much.
She's like, dude, go get some stickers. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that's literally what I told him.
That's
why his 110's black now.
And that was the best decision I did, is going back to my other bikes.
So in terms of being like the first ever female team member of Metal Mulisha, is that the truth? Is that it?
Yeah. First female of Militia back in the day.
Mm-hmm. The posse was deep back then too.
Yeah, that's why I was like pretty stoked to join. I was like the tail end of my last year of Supercross.
You were still kind of racing a little bit, right?
I was still racing, and I was still getting actually quite a bit of help from Larry Linkogel, who's obviously one of the founders. So he was definitely one that truly helped me out quite a bit, because I was just, even back when I was racing, like I just couldn't financially afford to, you know, like racing is cutthroat, and you put more money. Yeah. You put more money than you ever get out. And if you're not in it for the goals that you want to do for yourself, don't go, because that's the point. But Larry was able to kind of help me out financially.
That's awesome.
I was sparking my inspiration again, because I was reaching out to so many companies, and they're like, yeah, no, we're not interested. Sorry.
We'll give you some product. You're like, product doesn't pay for the races.
Yeah. I physically need help to get to these races. So that's where he stepped in, and he's just like, yeah, how much do you need? He's like, we're not playing the, I'm going to, give me a high number, you give me a low number, and we'll go back and forth. He's like, just tell me how much you need. Yeah. And he cut me a check, and I was able to keep racing. So
wow.
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
How expensive is it?
Endless. How much do you want to spend?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the more
like
you spend,
everybody
the faster
says
you're going to go.
Yeah, like he talked about that on another podcast. Like the best teams are the teams that can spend the most in a way. But like, how expensive does it actually cost to be competitive?
Oh man, I mean,
what do you think you were spending back there a year? And that was just like on like a privateer deal, like just getting there and doing it. Like,
yeah, you're probably spending, I would say, like $5,000 a week.
Every week.
Easy.
For like privateer, but like the big teams, they're spending like
way more.
$100,000 a weekend, maybe more. Like,
and I mean, these privateers find ways to cut costs, or they get help, which cuts that down quite a bit. But
they're not
still
practicing a lot during
day,
the week. They're driving to the races, like,
Yeah, and that's why when I race, like I couldn't afford to do it the right way. So I had a slow bike, because that's all we could afford. I had to build the bike. Then once you build them, they only last like 10 hours, and that goes like that. So it just, dude, it adds up insane.
Motor rebuilds, just everything. There's so many parts that you need, so many working parts in a motorcycle that are super expensive.
Yeah, that's why you see a lot of privateers on 450s, because that's just one less thing you have to spend money on. Because just alone, like, dude, you could spend 10 grand on a motor, no problem, in the 250 class.
Easily.
That is crazy, because I would say like what half the class is privateers, would you say? Or like 2/3, 1/3?
Yeah, I'd say about half. Probably right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And so they're basically, for the audience to understand this, they're basically having to fund their own way per race, right?
Yeah, there's a few teams out there too that will be like, hey, we'll take your bike for the year to help you cut costs. Like you can fly in, pit on our stuff. So there's a lot of people helping the privateers out now, which is super cool to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Because before you didn't really, you'd show up in your pickup truck and you just pit in the deep six parking lot by yourself. Like you couldn't go ask anyone for anything. Now it's like teams are starting to like help out a bunch of the little dudes. So it's cool to see that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you see dudes' girlfriends on the line with them because they can't afford a mechanic. You know, they're the ones working on the bike. They probably don't even have mechanics. So it's just
That's
like,
crazy.
They're
it's
working on the bike
cutthroat.
themselves between races, and then their chicks out there at the pit board, like just
Yeah,
doing whatever they can do.
Yeah, it can easily be a family sport in you if you want to keep that mindset. But yeah, dude, it's insane.
Did you ever work on a bike like Celebrity Pit Crew?
No. Work on my own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a crazy thing. Have someone have you in their team.
You don't want me working on it.
No. You don't know how to work on a bike?
Yeah, I do, but I don't want to work on it.
Yeah, and it's not going to be in a timely fashion.
That's why it's going to be on my time. That's why I pay a mechanic, my boy Rob, to do all my stuff, so I don't have to do it.
I know the race is in 20, but I got to take a 10.
Yeah. You're like, I'm good.
I got to go have a safety meeting before I work on this bike. What up with what was the first year you won a medal at X Games? Was that for racing? It was, right?
Yeah, my first year, I think my first year of racing X Games was 2010, and I got fourth with like little to no practice on Supercross. I hadn't even really touched a
You were
track
just straight motocross.
Yeah, like I got maybe 2 days prior on a test track, and then that was it. We just went straight to the Coliseum. And then so second year, I had some arena cross under my belt and had like a lot more practice under my belt, and I came in, was able to get a gold that one. And then this following year, I think I got another gold in the women's the women's super motocross or whatever you call it. And then I think that was the year. That year, the following year was when I did best whip with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how many medals did you have for racing? 3 or 2?
3 golds, and then I have the bronze that I did in best whip.
One of them got given to you pretty good.
Yeah. That one was kind of a crap show a little bit. I mean, we didn't have enough women to even fill the gate, and a lot of the women, I should say that they just didn't belong there.
Yeah.
I almost landed on one.
Kind of like roadblocks.
Yeah, just really kind of a danger. So it definitely took its toll. And
if
then,
you didn't get a good start, you were screwed.
And
it's so tight.
Yeah, and I got the worst start of my life. I think I got dead last coming into the first corner, and then they gave us like a briefing, like, hey, if you make contact, you're in big trouble. Like,
which is so lame.
So about halfway through the race, I was like, well, I'm just gonna we're done being nice. Like, I'm over this. Like, it's the tightest track known to man. Like, I gotta move these girls. So that's when I was just like, screw it. Like, if they DQ me, at least I put on a show.
Yeah.
So
and I can get to the front if I
yeah. And then I literally got last lap, and the ramp wasn't the finish line that year. And I literally came into the corner. I was like, well, like, second it is. Like, I put in the best effort I could, and I was like, okay with it. And then I hear the crowd start screaming. And I'm like, well, she ain't that far ahead of me. Like, what happened? So I came over that finish line, and then she was down, and I just blitzed the whoops like I've never blitzed a set of whoops in my life. Skipped like 3 of them, and then just went into the finish line.
The finish line was at the end of the whoops, right? It was like a little double into the corner or something?
Yeah, I had so much speed from the whoops that I jumped into the face
of the
finish line and then went off.
The girl that was winning went over the big jump, the ramp, and started cheering, like celebrating. When she came, her bike like nose down dip. Super gnarly. I think she missed her throttle hand.
Yeah.
Landed, ate shit. She comes around the corner, jumps the jump and sees her, and then like gets the win, like last lap, last corner thing.
Yeah, that was a good little present.
It was pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
That's got to be like the worst thing to pre-celebrate and then lose.
Oh God, you see a lot of dudes not pre-celebrating anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's why. Like, that unfortunately, like, the poor girl made like TMZ, like, she was all over the news.
Yeah,
it was really bad.
Well, she's about to be in this clip right
now.
Podcast.
Just bringing back.
She's got to relive that. What year was that?
Heartbreaker. I want to say.
I think 2013.
Yeah, I think it was 13 because because that's the year. That's the
was
same
the
year you rode
year
whip, right? With us.
Yeah,
with me
it was.
Hanson won. I got second. You got third.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a fun year. I remember, damn, I hope this bitch don't beat me right now.
I know. I felt bad, too, because I was still on a 250F.
Yeah, but your whips were big.
The ramp was set at like 71, and they sent me out for practice by myself. They're like, yeah, the boys already rode. You can go out now. I was like, I just ride by myself. And it's like, sweet. And they're like, yeah, they want to push it back. And it was so tight inside the Staples Center. And I came in, I railed the corner as fast as I could and like barely made it. And I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to jump this low and whip off of it. And I come in and I tell the crew, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but like, I can't let you guys push it back. I ain't gonna make it.
Yeah. I remember it was a little bit shorter than
Were you guys trying to sabatage her?
No.
Everyone was just on 450s, which is totally normal.
Yeah.
I just
she was
wasn't
on a smaller
there
bike.
yet.
Yeah.
And you guys were just like, how much farther did you want to push back the ramp?
I think we pushed it like 75 to the knuckle, where it was probably 71 to the knuckle.
Yeah.
Like,
it was tiny.
So like right to where like right where it rolls, like the safety deck is like
Yeah.
where we measure to, but we usually land like halfway down.
When you guys are doing that, like, because obviously they let you do like your test runs, right? It's the day before, day of. What is it?
Just depends.
Whatever
Yeah.
it may be.
Yeah.
Who gives the final okay? Like, out of all the riders, is there one rider that gets to lead the charge? Like, because I'm sure there's.
No, but you always get a million people bitching about it.
That's what
But
I'm saying.
We
So-
normally have like put it at 75. Deal with it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, for
like
sure.
every ramp's gonna feel a little bit different, but you get some dudes that will bitch a lot. Like,
Yeah, I remember some of the X Games video footage of like a bunch of the riders like in a little huddle. Looks like they're like in a football team and they're like arguing about the ramp. And then there's like one guy who goes and talks to the.
yeah, we'll all try to like work with each other. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you want it farther, you want it shorter. Let's meet in the middle and do 2 feet versus 5 feet. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for
Like
sure.
we can figure it out. You
Yeah,
know?
that's like the good thing about our sport though, is like you see Supercross, like they want that edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for us, like we don't want to see our friends get hurt.
No,
So like we'll do whatever we
cool.
can to accommodate each other. And that's just kind of how our crew is, which is really cool, especially when it's competition time. You're like,
Did you
it's
ever
gnarly.
did you ever feel like intimidated or feel like you were maybe out of place, or did you always feel good and like at home going in these competitions?
Well, for Whip, I definitely felt completely out of place, and that's when it was like fan voting. So I was like, well, you know, like kind of know why I'm here, but kind of, you know, like I can ride, I can do this, but it was like, well, you know, I think maybe half the world probably sees it like, oh, you're a girl, so of course they're gonna put you in type thing.
Yeah, but same with me. Like I built a name. I built like a good thing. I got a couple medals just off having a big name. My whip wasn't the biggest whip sometimes, but I had the most fans. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and I was
for
like,
sure.
I was like, fuck it.
I'll take the medal.
I'll take it. Like,
Thanks,
medal's
fans.
a medal. But I do
Yeah.
remember that year that Hansen won. I remember I was sitting in first, and then Hansen did the biggest whip I've probably ever seen on a motorcycle. Where I was like,
Yeah.
fuck. I'm like, I was sitting there, and I'm like, if they give me the gold, I'm gonna give him the gold on the podium. Be
For
like,
sure.
this ain't mine. This is yours. Because
Yeah.
like we all know within each other. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
when
for
I saw the
sure.
breakdown, I was like, Hansen, myself, then you. I was like, all right, cool. I'll deal with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember mid contest, because at Staples Center you had the big screen up there.
Yeah, you could see where your
and I was
percentage
trying,
was.
I was like, don't look. And I think I glanced up. I was either in first or second for a little bit. And it was towards the end. I was probably in second. And I fully panicked. I'm like, oh, shouldn't have looked. And then I started choking and blowing every jump. It
Just
was so
trying too
bad.
hard.
And then that's when Haney threw the big dog. And I was like, oh, well,
We're good.
makes sense.
Yeah, let's end it on that.
Yeah.
You have any video projects? Anything in the works? Like, what are you doing right now?
Well, I
Besides
mean, I
getting your wrist
was,
fixed.
but yeah, that's on a brief pause. So yeah, we were working on the East Coast, just trying to get a new trick dialed, and then on top of that, I was just trying to take advantage of that East Coast scenery, and
Yeah.
there's so many good spots out there to ride and film at. So we were kind of mid mid project on that, and yeah, so it's a little bit of a pause. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's how the sport goes.
Her and her dude said they've been going back east last like what 2 or 3 years probably. Like
Yeah,
when it
past
gets
3.
super shitty and hot out here, they've just been going back east to Massachusetts. Like her dude's from Connecticut, so it's like right there. Our buddy Brody Wilson lives out there. He has a dope ass course, foam pit, everything. She's been out there like working on flipping, just a bunch of different stuff. And like you said, it's just a different scenery, so much different tracks, dirt, like everything.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in San Diego and this Southern California since I was 7, and I love riding dirt bike tracks. So to go, even though their tracks are more like vet track-esque, they're not, you know, big jumps or it doesn't get that rough, it's still so fun to get to ride just a different track.
Yeah.
The ones you haven't been riding since you were 7 years old.
Yeah, I could imagine that. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, in 2019, you broke a record, a world record set by Evel Knievel.
Yep.
Can you walk me through that?
Yeah, it was the firewall record. It was I don't know, it was kind of corny in my eyes at first. I mean, I don't know, like I approached them and I wanted to do something different, and History Channel kind of came back with this firewall thing, and I mean, I'm not going to say no, but it wasn't my first option. But yeah, it was something cool, something completely different, and yeah, just I don't know. It's something you don't really like. I don't know. How do you train to just go through walls on fire? But you know, that's
Yeah, you're used to doing something like gnarly, like
yeah, for sure. And
really
at first,
scaring yourself.
yeah, and at first it was like I said, it was super corny because they like set up like pool noodles to for me to go through it. I was like, what's that? They're like, just so you can get like a visual to where it's like you can go through it and then there's nothing on the other side, and you know, like you're going through something. I'm like, it's a pool noodle.
You're like, have you
like, what are we
seen what I
doing?
do on the daily? Like, come
Yeah,
on.
I'm like, just set the walls up. It's fine. Like,
So it was just first try, executed off.
yeah, we did a couple passes just to like get speed sorted of like how fast do I want to go, and not so fast that it's like completely over in 1 second.
Yeah.
And, you know, so they wanted to find a speed to where it's, you know, still visually appealing to watch. So I think we only set it like 35 miles an hour. It wasn't that much.
Wow. Did they hurt when you hit them at all?
No, it was pretty good. I mean, that helmet helps. And we built like a front number plate made out like a metal piece that went on the front of the bike. So obviously that headlight came out, and we did a couple things to just make sure debris wasn't going to be on me or on the bike. And that was about it. I think the gnarliest part that we had to figure out like day of was the fumes. So like I had an open helmet under here. So all the fumes were coming in. I think we did a quick test pass at like, there was only 8 maybe. And I went through in about 5, all the fumes were starting to come in my helmet.
And you're trying to not
and
breathe
I'm trying,
all that in.
yeah, and I'm trying not really breathe, but see, it's like when a campfire like turns and it blows in your eyes. I was starting to get that, and I was like, I wanted to close my eyes, but I gotta see where I'm going. So I was just like squinting as hard as I can. My eyes were just naturally just shutting. And I'm just like, all right, the end's here. It's got to be here soon. And that was the only gnarly thing. I was like, oh, shoot, we got like, I only made it, 5. I'm like, we got to figure this out because we got to go to 13 or something like that. So I was like, oh, all right, we got to figure that out. So my buddy Benny from Bell, he came over and literally sat with my helmet and just super glued every single vent. And we got one of the off-road neck sleeves and then tucked it in my suit. And then I was good.
Really? Didn't get any fumes through or nothing?
Yeah, no, that was the only gnarly part to sort out. And we didn't figure that out, that we needed to sort it out like the day before.
What was your first pick? Like, what would you want to do for the world record?
Something like with distance. I think that would have been really cool. But that was the year like I was paired with Axel to do, and he was doing all his sweet stunts too. So like he had.
So you're pissed off the whole time you're watching him jump 390 feet.
Yeah,
you're
mean, I don't know if I want to go that far, but his warm up jumps look like I was like, all right, I could probably jump
like
with
250, 275 ish.
That would have been all right. But yeah, the old, what was it, 3 something? I was
think
like,
I got a video, or I seen a video of him crashing at like 396 when he crashed. Like that was gnarly.
Yeah,
that is absurd.
Oh
390.
That's absurd.
Yeah, he did one like that. The one he crashed on, I wasn't there for that one. But we had similar days on like test days where he was doing stuff and I was doing stuff, and we had one similar, and he did that same, like he kind of started to open up to land like as you would, but just with the distance, he did it too soon. So he just started to get that floater feeling. And I was sitting at the landing just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to watch my friend die right now.
Dude, going that far, like with his crash, how he got super lucky. Like he got lucky.
So lucky.
He could have ragdolled him and flipping and
my gosh.
Yeah, he got super lucky. It takes to have it pays off to have skills on a motorcycle. Like even when you're crashing, you can figure it out sometimes.
Yeah, and that's typically when it counts, Like if he would have just gave up, that would have been
or just
way
threw
worse.
the bike or something.
Exactly,
I think he barely broke an ankle or something, right? Like
I mean,
some road rash. Like it wasn't too bad.
Good chunk of road
crashing
rash,
at 396
like
feet.
How do you even prepare for a 390 foot jump? Like
I think they started the jump at like 100 foot, and then they started moving it back farther and farther, or something like that.
I mean, for us dumb dirt bike riders, we don't know how to do it, but we actually had people there that were actually good at math.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you need to turn here. You need to be at this speed by here.
Yeah.
Like
So there was.
Really? It's that crazy.
It was actually calculated. Like they gave him a bunch of passes on like how fast the bike will actually go, and then what speed he needs to be at. And there was science involved. We just don't know how to do it.
But when you get in the air, it's up to you to figure it out.
Yep, for sure.
So when you're in the air, because the only time I've been in the air is when I crashed. I crashed into an F-150 on this little pit bike Twitch made me, and then I never picked it up again. Actually, I picked it up again for the first time in 2 months. Last week or a few days ago.
Yeah.
With Cowboy. And then I ran right into the front door. Me and the PT guy. Because the brake didn't work. He gave me a faulty bike. But
he takes his feet off the rear brake and only holds the front brake.
Oh, yeah.
Because I get nervous I'm going to fall since I hit the truck. I'm having like trauma every time I get on a bike.
We could teach you a few things.
I crashed into the back of an F-150 like the second day I got this bike.
Your own truck?
No, someone's. Okay. And then we ran. And then we left the bike and ran, but the bike says Jaxxon everywhere, so they knew where to come. So it made no sense to run. We didn't figure it out till we got here, but
gotta get him a stealth bike.
Yeah, I need something with no logos. How do you prepare, or how do you train yourself for when you're in the air? I've seen a lot of Instagram reels. Me and the boys were watching these videos of people. We were watching a video of you jump, and one of the commentators or one of the little, the on-screen text in those videos. It's like in the air, he is 30 feet from the ground. It's like these things. How do you prepare on how high or how low you're going to go if you don't have a team? Like I've seen people at X Games without a team. Obviously you guys are doing it by straight skill.
When we ride every day, we just do it on our own, but.
Yeah. I mean, just for the gnarly stuff, you're normally, you try and have a team, and even little stuff like, even with fighters, like ultimately a fighter goes out in the ring by himself, but there's a full team that goes behind him and
preparing them for it.
Yeah, same for us. It's the same kind of principle and program that we have. But yeah, for the gnarly stuff, you kind of have a bit more preparation to go in hand. But typically it's just like we just get so comfortable on the bike and we're basically like we get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like that's the way progression happens, is that we're never happy just cruising along with what we can do. So that's kind of where all the progression comes in anyways. That's
a good quote. I might have to put that on there. but when you're in the air, is there something that you guys train for specifically, like in the gym or at home, like to like help your balance or help your eyes or your coordination?
I think it's just bike time, really.
Yeah.
Like
we've all been riding since we were little kids. So it's like you have that awareness of in the air of what you want your bike to do, where you want to put it, stuff like that. So
yeah,
pretty much it comes natural.
Watching you do cartwheels this weekend at the Supercross event, I'm like, this guy's insane. This guy's like going upside down. He's right side up. Like I would get so dizzy just thinking about being upside down, let alone doing it on a bike.
I've never heard it as cartwouldles.
No, literally, it looked like you were doing a cartwheel.
Yeah, we typically do that if the landing is unsuccessful.
No, I couldn't even describe the tricks I was watching you guys do.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, not Monster Cup. Super Motocross this weekend. Yeah, that one was pretty cool.
And you're still out there just jumping and flipping like it's nothing.
Still having fun doing it.
Yeah.
I get bored when I don't ride.
Really?
Yeah.
And do you still love riding? Do you still love what you do?
Oh yeah, it's like it's my job, but it's also my hobby too. So that's where like I love riding like the tracks. Actually, it doesn't do anything for me except for just put a smile on my face.
I'll ride like once a week, maybe, just depending on what time of year it is, and like her and Taco will be at my house like every day. Hey, you care if we ride tomorrow? We're gonna ride tomorrow. I'm like, don't even ask. You guys can just ride whenever the hell you want. Like,
bug him at that point. He's like, dude, just come over.
Just go ride. I don't care.
You wake up and all the boys are in your backyard.
Yeah. So normally,
Twitch has been an amazing like inspiration to young riders and people trying to come up in the game. And you, with such an accomplished career so far and still going hard, such a good inspiration of what it means to be, a competitive person, but at the same time, someone who's breaking barriers, especially for female riders and girls. What do you feel is like your biggest inspiration now to continue your career?
I don't want to let him know that, but it's him. I try not to tell him because then his head gets too big.
I don't want a bigger helmet.
But yeah, like I just feel he pushes me and like pushes me towards things that, I probably wouldn't think for myself. And he'll just like screenshot a conversation and text it to me and be like, I talked to this dude for you. Like, it'll be great, like, and then that's just how he is with everybody. And I don't know, even riding day to day, it's just like, hey, try this, hey, try that. And like, we're always just feeding off of each other to try and do better. And if that doesn't work, we just start shit talking and that'll do it. So it's just ultimately like us just friends being friends, like poking the bear. And that's typically what we end up getting away with. But at the end of the day, it's fun, but it turns into like inspiration and progression.
And a contest.
And a contest every day.
As like a female rider in a mostly male dominated sport, is there ever something that you have to really focus on more? Is there something that kind of like irks you that you have to kind of put your foot down on certain things or no?
Other than wanting your own changing room and stuff,
Yeah, my own change room, maybe a bathroom would be nice, but after that,
porta potties don't work for females at events.
Yeah, no, it's that's about the cusp of it. But at the end of the day, it's just like I feel like the boys just have an easier time pulling the trigger sometimes, where I'm like, oh, I don't know.
But then I'll just look at her back, dude, quit being a pussy, just do it. And she's like, okay, and then she does it perfect. I'm like, I told you. Like, I'm not going to tell you to do something if I don't know in my head that you can do it,
Yeah, but it goes both ways. Like, some days I'll be totally fine and jump everything first.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, Vicki, I'm going to follow you real quick.
Yeah, and then the next day on something small and stupid, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure everyone deals with that, but I feel like females we're emotional. So we deal with it probably a bit more.
Yeah. I have a lot of emotional male friends. If they don't eat, they're probably worse than any female I've ever dealt with. One thing we saw in the Jaxxon podcast Discord, we asked them questions now about like, what do they want to know about Rampage, Jaxxon, and MMA? What do they want to know about Sheckler and skating? What do they want to know about Twitch and freestyle? And a lot of people ask, is it more dangerous to ride with your friends because you guys like kind of like push each other over the boundary and you guys kind of like always are trying to outdo each other? Or is it safer to ride with your friends because you feel the confidence?
I think it's safer.
Same.
I think the most dangerous spot we've ever put ourselves in is when we're relaxed and riding. Mm-hmm. That's literally when all the bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think it's
just the edge.
Yeah. And when we're all riding together, like if someone's having trouble jumping a jump, we're like, hey, watch so-and-so jump this, or here, follow me off of it. Or here, I'm going to follow you because I don't feel comfortable. So we're always like helping each other out here and there, especially like Red Bull and Imagination. I remember there was this jump she kept looking at. It was like 115, 120 foot, like dirt jump. And I kept seeing her take runs. I'm like, dude, just do what you're doing and you're going to make this jump perfect. She's like, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm like, just fucking jump the jump. Just do the same thing you're doing. You're going to make it. And then she greases it perfect.
Yeah.
I'm like, I told you, I'm not going to tell you to do it if I don't think you're going to do it. You know, like it's just little things like that, but just helping each other. And sometimes you need that little like, hey, you're being a bitch. Just do it. You know, like that's how we talk to each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have someone obviously as accomplished as you, but someone with the experience that can kind of like guide you. Are you doing that for any young riders right now?
Yeah, I have 2 young riders that I've taken on both. I think she's on, she just switched from 85s to 125s now.
Cool.
Her name's Alana. And then I have a younger girl, Lily, that I help out as well. And I've just taken on 2 riders just to, I mean, it's a busy schedule for myself, so I want to just make myself available to them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just having a couple young bucks to ride with, and then obviously keep me on my toes too. So it's been fun. They're mainly into like racing. Alana's into like off-road racing, and Lily does a little bit of everything. So yeah, it's just cool to have the young bucks like he does, just to keep you on your toes. And
it's cool to pass that knowledge on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure. And like what he's done for me, like I want to be able to be in that position to do that for somebody else too.
Yeah, we always try to look out for each other. Like everyone in our circle, like, hey, hire so-and-so for this, or hey, sign Vicki up. Like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, just like we're always looking out for each other.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the sport's dangerous enough. So like for those imagination scenarios where we're like, dude, these jumps are big.
Yeah.
So we don't need to take any extra risks. So like if you want to follow me, like go for it. If I'm following him, like go for it. It's an open friend zone there.
And that's kind of like how Bierman is too. Like whenever anyone's at his event, Imagination, he's like, I'll jump everything first, and then everyone will watch him, and then they'll jump in and follow him, or you'll follow someone else. Like it's cool to see the camaraderie between everyone, just helping each other out and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
We see you're a Monster athlete, to which I know you're a Monster athlete. Mm-hmm. Do you do a lot of events for Monster? Do you travel a lot?
Yeah, a bunch of events for Monster. Obviously, I didn't do super motocross, but we've do a bunch of Supercrosses, F1s. I did some MotoGPs in Barcelona, so it's just like it's kind of cool to be able to travel and hang out with your friends and ride your dirt bike.
Are you with 805 Beer as well?
Yep, I am.
Yeah. Yep. So Tabitha, one of our fighters here, who's dating Caleb, who just won a big boxer. I think she's a fighter for 805 Beer as well.
Yeah, she's rad.
Yeah. Do you guys do events with them as well?
Yeah, we do a handful of events. There's not too much riding, but 805 is such a cool brand. We literally just get to go there, have a beer, and hang out. So it's pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good gig.
It's cool to have like a squad that you could count on in a sport like this. As we get close to wrapping this up, one thing I personally want to know, and I started asking a lot of the MMA guys this: if you were going to go on a trip, like a skate trip, like how they would do like a part and they would go travel the world for like a week or two, who's 4 riders you would want to bring with you to make this video part? No sponsors, just you and your friends. Like you don't have to worry about any brands. Who would it be?
I mean, obviously we're gonna bring Grandpa.
Hey, congratulations on being a grandpa. How could we forget?
Can say that.
Congratulations. He's a grandpa. I mean, you don't look like one. Obviously, you're aging. You don't look like one, but you look great. But I mean, yeah, you're a grandpa now, bro. So grandpa's one.
Yeah, we got to keep him young, so we're gonna bring him. Obviously, we got to do the 2 heavy hitters, a Tyler and an Axel, and then I'm bringing McNarls for sure. He's another heavy hitter.
That's a solid crew right there.
Yeah, and we always do these trips too, and we'll like not maybe who's the best rider, but we're like what friends do we want to bring? You know, like we want to have a good time. Like obviously, we're gonna have a good time riding, but we want to have a good time off the bike with our friends too.
Yeah.
All right, is that like a good crew, like off the bikes?
Oh,
they're fun.
It'd be so fun.
It's a fun one.
I feel like motocross, I'm not going to lie, like freestyle, like your crew, and like, I feel like it's the craziest times. I've heard that skating's cool too. MMA is pretty nuts because they used to like brawl and fight, but now they're like super gnarly athletes, so no one wants to like mess up. But I feel like freestyle is still nuts. Like you guys still always have a blast. Like
That's kind of why I chose that route, because I could just be myself and do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like, I take it serious, but like I love to have fun too.
Yeah. Who would you bring? You got 4 people.
It'd probably be the same 4, same ones right there. Like that's a solid crew.
I love
right
it.
There, yeah.
Is there somewhere specifically you guys want to go to film a video, to film like your own part in a way? Is there somewhere that no one's ever gone that you guys would think would be insane to go?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
There's been a lot of places covered, like with everyone going riding and filming and stuff.
I saw this video of these 4 kids going to Alaska and doing this like ice jump on those what are they, jet skis on snow? What do you call those things?
Snowmobile?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, jet ski on snow.
Are you sure? It looks like a jet ski though. It doesn't look like it's like an amphibious machine. It could be in the water and the land.
No, the snowmobiles are gnarly now.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It can like float in the water too though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw them like jumping these like massive mountains, but it's not like a snowboard mountain. It looks like glaciers. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. Have you ever done an ice video?
No, I haven't. Oh, well, I've ridden on ice, like X Games Winter X. Like that shit sucked.
It didn't look fun.
No, let's go to Alaska for a week.
Let's go.
And bring the bikes and let's go jump massive glaciers.
They got snow bikes that are dope.
Well, first we're gonna teach you how to ride.
I say we just pin it.
And we're gonna teach you where the rear brake is.
No, we don't do brakes. I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
I got one more question on injuries. What was your worst injury?
My worst injury was definitely my right foot and ankle.
Was that when you were riding on coke?
Yeah, literally riding on coke. To clarify, we spray Coca-Cola on the floor. We were doing the Coca-Cola.
It's like polished concrete inside, like say like they're doing like a motorcycle expo.
They're like this floor, basically.
Yeah. Not the substance.
Not the substance.
Wow. You really, like this whole time I've been like, wow, this girl is like awesome in life. Like I know that you're awesome, but like in real life, she is cool. And then you hit me with that one and I'm like, whoa. Like that was out of nowhere. And then she kept going. She didn't even dispute it either. So I'm like, someone got to tell me if this is.
She knew what I was doing.
All right, cool. So you sprayed a bunch of like pop soda.
Yeah. So when it dries,
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're left with like a syrup texture.
It gets really sticky.
So then you can ride on it. It's not the best way to do it, and I learned the hard way. It's definitely not the best way.
Well, like once it gets super sticky, you can lay some rubber down. Like it will start sticking.
It actually is
to
really
the ground.
tacky.
Yeah, it gets pretty good. But she had a pretty gnarly crash.
Yeah, I turned the corner, went to get on the gas, and I fully got wheel spin, and there was definitely no way of making it to the landing. So I was just basically, first instinct was to not let the bike dip and just go head first in the concrete. So I just tried to get my speed and like hold the composure to keep the bike on two wheels. And then once I did that, I was just looking at a concrete floor, and last minute, I've never ditched off my bike, but I was like, I don't think this thing's going to do much. And ditched the bike and went feet first in the concrete, like 40 feet up. And shattered my heel, almost broke every ankle, foot bone that you could think of, that you could name. That was broken, fractured. And then on top of that, I got compartment syndrome. And I sat with compartment syndrome for like 24 hours, which after like maybe 10, you're losing a limb for sure. So I had like a miracle scenario where I didn't lose my leg. But it took about 8 surgeries and a lot of complications to be able to be back on the bike. And it was about a year later till I could get back on the bike.
Were you ever like, I'm over this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it comes with it though, especially that long and then that many surgeries where I had so many complications. It was like I was having a surgery maybe once a month. So I was like building myself back up, being able to walk, have a complication, back on the couch. So I think literally the 8th one, I was like, dude, I can't do this. Like it's just too much. And I was like fully mentally shut down. And I was like, well, I'm not going to ride. And then I sat there. I was like, well,
what else am I going to
do? me quitting doesn't really figure out how to get off the couch and walk again. No. So I'm going to just start figuring that part out. And once I was able to walk again, I'm like, yeah, I could ride for sure.
I feel like you always forget about all the surgeries and all the pain. By the time you can get back on your bike, you're like, everyone's getting better than me right now. I need to just go ride. Like,
yeah,
that's how I always
That's the worst part is like when you see all your friends having fun, you're like, man, I really want to ride.
Yeah, we're scratching the Alaska trip. We're going to stick to pizza lunch here. That seems more exciting. First of all, I want to say thank you for coming to the Jaxxon house, hanging out here, coming on the podcast. I know it's always a pleasure to sit here with Twitch, and he's been bringing us the best guests like yourself. So it's always exciting to kind of get a behind the scenes. Seems like there's a common denominator with Twitch being like the grandpa father figure to everybody that comes in here.
For sure. Yeah. We don't like to admit it, especially to his face, but he's all right.
He's a good guy. No, he's a good guy. It's definitely cool though, because not a lot of industries have this. They don't have a guy who's kind of like not an overseer, but someone who's down to just share knowledge, pass the info.
Sure.
You know, more industries had that. More industries would have more like lineage and more kind of camaraderie between the generations. And it seems like you're just transcending all of them, you know?
I just want to see it grow. Cause like if it wasn't for dudes like Link Ogle, Deegan, and Metzger helping me out, I wouldn't be where I am at today. So it's like, why not pass it along? Yeah,
for sure. And it's cool because now we have like another wave of Groms coming through the backyard. So now we both get to teach them little things, and like they're progressing.
Yeah, and they want to ride my house every day. So I see them down there. I'm like, maybe I'll go ride for a little bit. Like, I still got to show these little fuckers what's up.
Yep.
So it's like, I still got it, boys.
Yep, that's exactly what he does.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. And then Twitch, is there anything you wanted to add about DBK? I know you guys have some drops coming. Anything you want to talk about?
No, they know where to find us if they want us.
Oh, I love that. See that? He doesn't even need it. He doesn't even care. Yeah, he's like, I'm good. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching the Jaxxon podcast. Another amazing episode from the man himself right here, Grandpa. Make sure you guys, where can they follow you on Instagram?
At V Golden 423.
Cool. And we'll drop that link in the description below. Leave some love. Leave a comment. Let us know who you want to see next on Jaxxon Podcast. We out.